For centuries, the goddess of life, Dwayna, who welcomes the coming of spring, has struggled with the god of death, Grenth, for the control of Wintersday. This year, the god of war, Balthazar, has thrown his support behind Grenth, who vehemently believes that Wintersday should be a somber time of reflection on the inevitability of death. The priests of Balthazar feel that the merriment of Wintersday is a glaring example of the weakness of humanity and have vowed to aid Grenth with his seasonal shenanigans. In response, the goddess of nature, Melandru, has come to Dwayna's assistance for fear of an endless winter destroying the delicate balance of nature. Join the heated battle for the fate of this chilly holiday with our striking new Melandru and Balthazar costumes and our brand new Wintersday challenge. As always, the towns of Lion's Arch, Drockness Forge, Ascalon City, Camadan and the Eye of the North will be decked out in Wintersday decorations. Visitors to Lion's Arch, Camadan and the Eye of the North will be invited to participate in holiday quests, missions and games, all with their own rewards. Episode 11 of the Wintersday content. Yeah, welcome to the next video. It's now the middle of the night. I'm not going to whisper the whole episode, don't worry about it. But yes, it's now the middle of the night, we're continuing on. But I think we've only got like 2, maybe 3 tops videos left to go. So welcome to 2010. What the hell was added in 2010? So 2010 saw the introduction of 2 new gods coming into the battle between Grenth and Dwayna. We saw Melandru join the fray, and hold on, let's run on over here. And we saw Balthazar join the fray. Both of these 2 new characters, I get the feeling that both of these were introduced into the plot simply because they came with costumes. Like, costumes were released for this Wintersday, which let players dress up basically as the outfits that you can see these guys wearing right now. And they were available to the players. But essentially a story was developed that Melandru and Balthazar decided, hey, we like what's going on here with Wintersday, we're going to join in. Melandru sides with Dwayna, while Balthazar, the god of war, joins with Grenth, the god of death. And basically you got a single new mini mission came into the game. It was a PvE mini mission, but you could play it from either side you chose. You could play it with Balthazar and Grenth, or you could play it with Melandru and Dwayna. Now in 2011, the Balthazar and Grenth one has now been replaced with a PvP version of the same thing. So we'll see that next episode. So literally all the choice we get now is by speaking to the priestess of Melandru and completing it from this side, which, you know, it's not too bad. It's still pretty fun. It's a minor miss out, I suppose. There was quite a funny introduction to the quest if you were to do it on the Balthazar side, but I wouldn't worry about it. It's going to be the exact same thing. We're just going to see it from Melandru's team here. So let's speak to Melandru and see what she's got to say. She says the priests of Balthazar are quite upset, it seems. They sense grave danger on the horizon, and while we have sensed this as well, we do not feel that crushing the spirit of the local population is the best way to prepare. So this is quite interesting as well. What grave danger is this on the horizon? Like, a lot of us were speculating, when this came out, this was like we were waiting on winds of change, basically, by this point. A lot of us were speculating, hey, what's this got to do with this? Has this got something to do with the weird assassin character that, you know, manipulated Zin and gave him the bad power cores? What's going on? And this still hasn't been answered. You know, a lot of people, if you look into sort of theories about Guild Wars 1 lore and stuff that people talk about now, they talk about comments like this, the nameless lich that's appeared at Halloween, and those weird loose ends like this. So this is actually probably, in this whole series, the most interesting, significant lore thing we're going to get right here at the start. This thing about grave danger on the horizon. And in fact, the old quest, when we used to be able to speak to Balthazar as well, he would mention something quite similar as well. Who knows what it is? Come 2011, it still hasn't come to fruition, and there's been no additional lore written on it, so who knows? Anyway, of course, the priests of Balthazar have been less than receptive to our alternative solutions. Against our better judgment, we've agreed to meet them in battle with all the forces we can muster, so that we can show the residents of Tyria once and for all, with hope and camaraderie, we can survive anything. If you wish to serve Dwayna and Melandru, speak with Melandru's Watcher. Should you wish to face other mortals in combat, speak with the Priest of Balthazar. Okay, so this last bit here has also been changed in 2011, this intro to the quest, because now there's 2 different versions of it you can do. You can do a PvP version, which, again, I've not played yet. I'm going to literally be playing that blind in the next episode, seeing how that goes. Or there's a PvE version, which of course has been available since 2010, which is pretty cool. So I pledge my support to the forces of Dwayna and Melandru, or fight against the combined armies of the God of War and the God of Death. Good luck with that one. So this is actually really quite fun. So let's see what we've got to do. Also, just before we get started on this, actually, I should mention 2009. I didn't mention this in the last episode. Actually, I should have mentioned it. In 2009, the year that they added basically nothing, there was also serious server lag that was going on that year. So Wintersday was actually extended for a whole week, and what was called the Wintersday Redux event, which is quite cool. So I wanted to mention that earlier on last video, but I completely forgot about it. So there you go, that's that. Also, before we get started, other changes that happened in 2010. This is the year where all of the rewards were changed from random like 10 candy cane shards to actually giving you gifts and all that kind of stuff. This was that year when all of that happened. And also this year was the year that Kieran Thackeray was actually removed from the Eye of the North outpost, you know, after 2 years since he'd been introduced there. And this was when Casey Carpenter was sort of added to give you all the quests, and it was him that unlocked all of the Wintersday, like the jingle pets. See, I thought that originally, I thought all the jingle pets every year after that the bear and the moe had been introduced, that you'd keep getting more jingle pets, but it just never happened. Those are the only two. There weren't any more added after that. Also, let's drink a frosty tonic because I haven't shown you. Or did I already delete all my tonics? I think I did. No, there they are. There they are. Yeah, I've cleaned out the inventory a little bit more. So there you go. There, this is a frosty tonic. So we get to look like snowmen. There's also Grinch tonics as well, which we can use. So anyway, this is the statue of Melandri. This is where we need to go. This is so weird. I really like doing this. You have to actually kneel at the statue of Melandri to summon Melandri's Watcher. Can we actually do that if we're in tonic form? I don't think we can. Oh my god, we can't. Wow. Okay, well, I'm going to have to rezone because this guy's trying to do it as well, but that's completely fail. Okay, I don't know, he managed to do it. Okay, so you actually get Melandri's Watcher. So if you're familiar with the Fissure of Woe and the Underworld, you'll know that to get to those places, you have to kneel to enter the realms of the gods. But Melandri, a lot of the gods never had these things. So this is really cool to actually have to kneel, and then you can speak to them. And you obviously don't go to their realm, you go somewhere else. But it's really cool to actually have a quest and a reason to kneel to these guys. Now, what you want to do is have a full team of heroes. I have, while the previous video was rendering, I started playing this because this is the first time I've known about it, but I've not actually played it before. And I thought this was a solo mission, so I just spent absolutely ages doing this. And it's not even a solo mission. No, it's not. Oh, also we don't really want necromancers. It's a full 8-man team. Obviously, if you play with actual people, then it will probably go a lot smoother and be a lot more fun. But yeah, this is not a solo mission. Make sure you've got your heroes or henchmen of your choice in there. I don't know which are better, really. You're all going to have basically advanced snowball skills. Obviously, we've seen a lot of those throughout the series already. You're going to get basically an advanced version of that skill bar now, and different professions have a single unique skill on their bar, so I don't know what is the best combination. I'm just going with this, so for whatever sake. I only know that the necromancers, the heroes, probably aren't that good at it, so I'm not going to use those. So yeah, we'll speak to Melandri's Watcher, and he says, rest in the shade of Melandri's grace. Is there a reason you've come here? Yeah, we want to do fighting in a winter wonderland. It's good of you to stand up to Balthazar and Grenth to protect the joy of the holiday season. Once your party is ready, I can send you to the battlefield. Right, we are ready to join the battle, so let's go on in. This is a repeatable, essentially it's a challenge mission. It's pretty cool, and it's based on, very loosely, okay, I feel like it really has fallen short. It's very loosely based on the idea of Dota. If you've played any of those MOBA games, any of that genre, you'll probably know what it is. Basically, and it is very, very, very basic. Essentially, everyone's going to have their snowball skills. We actually have something called Godly Yuletide. This is an effect that was added this year, okay, so 2010 introduced this quest, but it was only PvE. And you could play on either Melandri and Dwayne's side, or you could play on Grenth and Balthazar's side, and that was about it. And all the skills had specific things, but this year, because now there's a PvP version of it also, what ArenaNet did is they turned around and basically revamped the way that a lot of the skills work and changed things. So now, basically, you get 1,000 health, and you essentially get the same snowball skill bar with some minor differences. So, for instance, Snowco no longer just instantly gives you a load of health back, it instead gives you regeneration until you use another skill. There are just subtle differences, but it's essentially pretty much the same. So what is actually happening here? You'll see we're out in Anvil Rock. How cool is this? And in fact, next episode you'll see when we play the PvP version, it takes place, the outpost takes place in Icetooth Cave, which is so awesome. So what you got? Basically, we have what are essentially called lanes, okay? So we've got two beacons here. These beacons will send out waves of minions, essentially. So you can see these Iboggers and stuff are on our team. These minions will walk out along a designated path, and they'll continue walking out until, and they're trying to get into the other base. They're trying to get to the opposite beacon. When you break the other beacon, you can stop the enemy spawning. So essentially, to win, you need to break both of the beacons. However, on the way, there are some powerful enemies in the way. In traditional MOBA, these would be like your towers, essentially. These are very powerful enemies called the Champions of Grenth and the Champions of Balthazar, and we also have those. So what will happen is these minions will continue walking out, or go about their merry way, essentially. And the other team is obviously spawning them too, and they'll clash in the middle. One team might gain a bit of momentum, but as soon as they hit a champion, the champion's going to be too strong, and it will just stop them. So basically everything's at a stalemate. That's where we come in. So basically we need to start pushing one of the lanes far enough forward to take out the champion of Grenth, and then the second one, and then actually get all the way into the beacon and try and knock it out, despite the fact there are some two very powerful champions right there. You want to do that on both sides, and essentially that's how you win. If we press L, I said L, not K, you'll see that there's lots of bonus objectives. As I say, this is essentially a challenge mission. So, as with most challenge missions, the faster you do it, the more effective you are when you're doing it, or the more things you defend, you'll get more points or more rewards. And that's the same here. Look at all these bonus objectives, right? So you've got a bonus for destroying all the champions instead of just skipping past some and going straight to the beacon. You get a bonus for completing it super quick in under 5 minutes. And you get another bonus for protecting all of your champions. I have seen on YouTube, there's a video out there that came out last year of like a team speed clearing this, but you need 8 humans to do it, obviously, and they complete in like 3 minutes or something ridiculous like that. But it's pretty cool. Okay, there's no real threat. As I say, it's very, very loosely based off of the MOBA genre, really loosely. You don't level up as you go through it, you don't get more powerful, you don't need to kill the creep or the minions that are coming forward to get more money or anything like that. None of that's in it. It's just essentially pushing these lanes forward. I think it's quite cool that ArenaNet did it though. I mean, you see a lot of ArenaNet always talking about, oh, hey, I've been playing this, or I've been playing that, you know, I've been playing Heroes of New Earth. So they obviously like this genre, and it's cool to see them have tried to put it into Guild Wars 1, which at the end of the day wasn't an engine developed for this kind of game. And, you know, it's quite fun. It's a pretty cool little game type. It's very different to anything else you're experienced in Guild Wars, that much I can say. So, you know, who's complaining, really? It's pretty fun. It's got good rewards. Like I said, I never really took part in it last year, though. I knew that it was going on, but, you know, at that point, really, that was sort of when we were at the really hard bit on Prophecies. And I don't want to say that if I wasn't Let's Playing, I would have come here and tried it, but I did definitely have other stuff on. Like, can you remember? I've wanted to mention this actually the whole way through this marathon as we've been going on. Yeah, like literally last year, we were Let's Playing during Wintersday. Do you remember when we finally got to Drox Forge and we saw some of those decorations there? And that's all we saw last year, and yet there was all this content that I had to show you. Like, it's just ridiculous. But yeah, so as you can see, we're slowly pushing our lane along. It's really cool to have mowers and stuff on your team and the boggers and shit just fighting alongside you. It's very cool. And to see these spirits, which are usually stationary, running along with you. That's really cool. So here, are we at our first champion? Yeah, we are. So these are essentially the towers. As you'll see, he uses this thing here called Ultra Snowball, and it casts ridiculously quickly in a quarter of a second. But more importantly than that, and this is something that the skill description won't tell you, it casts, it has no aftercast delay. That's always a skill I wanted them to add to the game, but basically all spells in this game, and different skills have got different aftercasts, of course, like Shadow Steps have got longer ones and stuff like this. But all skills in this game have an aftercast, so usually I think it's a quarter of a second, but it's not uncommon to see 3/4 of a second. What that means is, no matter if you can cast in a quarter of a second like this guy can, it means you can't just keep going 4 spells every single second because of the aftercast. And that's kind of quite a subtle little gameplay thing, but it is there. And yeah, I always thought that a cool like Mesmer bit of elite or something would be for, you know, I don't believe that this is intrinsically unbalanced. I don't think anything necessarily is, but I think it would have been very cool to have had a skill that's like for 5 seconds, say you have no aftercast. That would have made like stoning builds or something, fast casting Mesmers using stoning, super fun way back when. But there's been so many changes to fast casting and stuff now that it's just not viable. But it is cool, and I think this is the only example you can ever see of it. It is cool to see a skill in Guild Wars being spammed like that without an aftercast delay. Here's the next champion. As I say, if in MOBA, these are basically your turrets. These are what would be stopping your creep and stuff. And we're just going to keep pushing on forward. Like I say, in 2010, we could be playing on the Grenth side. Naturally, like I said, I just tried to start playing this. I thought it was a solo mission. I genuinely did. So I was just like banging my head against a brick wall for like half an hour until eventually I was like, there's something I'm missing here. I must be missing something. And I looked on Wikipedia, I was like, there must be some guides about, come on, there must be something going on here. And wait, where is all my team? Did they all die? Wow, well, something just happened. Maybe they all got teleported back? I'm not sure. Alright, well, we've pushed up on this lane anyway, so it's not like progress has been lost, right? Because now our creep is moving forward. You'll see that there's some other lanes here going through. Balthazar's champions are all kind of... Oh, here's one person, at least Casey. They're all sort of cut through the middle and stuff. I've not really spent much time wandering around these lanes and seeing what the most effective way to move around is, but, you know, One interesting thing actually playing this with heroes, in fact, that is a bit of a hindrance, is the fact that when you die on this, you respawn back at your base, which is basically what happens in normal MOBA games. This is the first time, though, in Guild Wars, as far as I can recall, that a hero dying isn't just resurrected by somewhere else on your team. Obviously, there's no resurrect on anyone's skill bars, so they will resurrect back at the base, and you kind of have to rely quite heavily on the AI knowing what the hell it's doing in order to actually help you out and get back to where you are. So often earlier when I was playing, I found that if one of my heroes was dead, it was like a long time before I teamed back up with them, and it wasn't uncommon for me to be sort of playing with a 5-man team because some of my other heroes were dead somewhere and they didn't quite know where they were going or stuff like that. So yeah. Also, I find that my skill 6 is actually really good for just getting the adrenaline up for skills 2 and 3, which are pretty awesome here, actually. As you can see, they're a lot more souped up than anything else. Oh yeah, this is another thing that I keep forgetting about. So basically, you've got the explorable area here, but to force players to actually stay in the lanes, and it is possible to skip mobs, don't get me wrong here, but to force players to stay to the lane so that they at least somewhat have to push in a direction rather than just skipping past everyone, there's like an out-of-bounds system in place, and I think this was only added in 2011 as well. This is very new, simply because now this is a PvP game type, and I'm really interested in seeing how this is going to work as PvP. It sounds quite cool. But this out of bounds thing, you'll see on the side, can you see these little glowing like purple mine things here? These they're essentially like Light of Deljamore spots, except for the fact that they're purple. If you try and walk past, the game will tell you you've travelled out of bounds and instantly teleport you back in, which is something quite unique for Guild Wars. You know, something that, if you think about it, is kind of significant, I suppose, because for the longest time, this game has resorted to never doing anything like that. It's always just done like a cliff is slightly too high. I mean, the game's based on little instance, right? So a huge part of the game is these walls that don't encourage you to explore and stuff. You know, that's one big pet peeve people have with the game. If anything, they say, oh, well, you know, it's instant, so I can't go do anything, despite the fact that being an instant game has nothing to do with it being an open game. But because it's not an open world game, you tend to get these little things, right? But they've always done little walls and stuff and refused to just have a flat out kind of mechanic, like immersion breaking mechanic, shall we say, like that. But you know, they've been more than willing to do that here with this this little game type, which is pretty cool. So yeah, basically get 2 towers or 2 champions here right next to their spawner, their beacon, and we'll knock them out. Obviously, the scary thing here is what you just saw. That thing is still spawning stuff, so if you're nearby, then they're all going to come out of nowhere. On the speed clear video I saw, they basically had worked out, but they were playing on the Balthazar and Grent's side though. But what they'd done is they'd worked it out perfectly so that you could take out the beacon without any risk of the mobs that are spawning from coming at you, which was pretty cool. Why aren't you guys fighting? I'm sure I said, yeah, look, I've set them all to attack, but they're not fighting. Jorah, what the hell, man? Maybe she only fights people when they fight her? I don't know. But it's pretty easy to knock out those mobs as well if you've got like your giant snowball or something ready. There you go, that's the first beacon down in 9 minutes. Of course, the first bonus is to complete this in 5 minutes, so ArenaNet are more than aware of how quickly people can play through it. I mean, I don't remember ArenaNet before this year's Wintersday coming out making a big fuss about this and saying, oh, it's going to be so amazing, everybody. So I don't think people had massive expectations about it. I know that a lot of people felt like this game type fell short. You know, they heard, what, there's a MOBA style thing in Guild Wars? This is going to be amazing. And maybe felt like it fell short after that, but I don't think you can really blame them for that, you know. If you guys know about that genre of game, they tend to last a very long time each match, you know, at least 20 minutes or so. At least my experience with them anyway has taught me that. And, you know, to have a game type that's based on it that also ends in like 5 minutes is somewhat lackluster, I suppose. But, you know, ArenaNet are fully aware of it. They're not pretending it's something it's not, and they're, you know, giving people rewards for doing it that fast, which is super cool of them, I think. I think that's really awesome. So where are we now? Now we're not quite in a lane. This isn't something I think you ever really find in the MOBA genre. We're behind their base essentially, but instead of going back to our base and pushing the other lane, we're just going to assault them straight from the other side. So we're going to go straight to the beacon of Balthazar and fight his. Also, I really like what they've done with the creep and like the enemies of them. So like the Grent's troops are very Grenthy, you know, they're the Reapers and stuff, and Balthazar's are the Eternals, you know, they're his army. That's so cool that ArenaNet actually thought to put that little bit of attention to detail in and stick it up there with the lore. That's really cool. See, so like you might think, oh, let's go to beyond there, but no, it's out of bounds, you see, so pretty awesome. Actually, I guess the technology or the scripting they're using to get people back in bounds is exactly the same as what they use with heroes, really, when they try and walk through portals or stuff, when you try and flag them through. But as you can see now, a lot of my teams died or like disappeared into different places, so there's just 2 of us left and there's loads of people back here, so which kind of sucks. So I'm not sure, we're definitely not going to be able to fight here very well, so we'll probably die here. I might even just flag everyone in so that we specifically do die, and then this way our whole team can come back together and we can push the other lane properly up. It's something else that, but if we can knock out this champion while we're at it, then hell yeah. But like, yeah, look at that, just ultra snowball, just doing so much damage. There you go, that's one champion down. He'll probably knock us all out here. I don't mind if he doesn't, granted. I'm not sure how long till you respawn on this, whether it's like every 30 seconds like a lot of PvP game modes are in Guild Wars or what. As you can see, I think our creeper actually continuing to come up from there now. I'm not sure. But okay, so Jorah's dead. We're not all reunited, but I can show you something else. So there's another thing. You can teleport around here because obviously it's such a big map to get to the action. What you can do is speak to your beacon, and the beacon, so we're at the beacon of Dwayne at the moment, and you can travel to other beacons. I'm not sure, I thought when I first heard about this, I thought you could like port over to your champions as well, which would be quite cool. I don't think that part of the game is actually in there, but in any case, by doing that, that's actually reunited me with my heroes, which is pretty cool. And we can head on over to the next lane here, so you know, this might be a little bit tedious, obviously, if you guys have played loads of this. I mean, I'm sure that you can be way more efficient with it, especially if you've got lots of other players. I feel like I never really heard people sort of giving this massive thumbs up and loads of people playing this all the time and it being this awesome new thing for Wintersday, which is a bit of a shame, which is why I'm so curious, actually, about how the PvP version works. I did port into the Outpost shortly before filming this video, and it looks okay there. It looked like there were a few people there, so I'm just hoping. It was also quite interesting with the matchmaking there, as far as I can see, which was quite cool. So as you can see here, this is actually a perfect example. The whole game, these lanes have just been pushing into the middle here and not being able to go any further forward because, or if they get too far forward, then the champions are just knocking out wave after wave after wave, which is pretty cool. So yeah, do you know what? We've seen this. We've already seen me push a lane. So, and you can see the goal right back there. Oh my god, they're doing a lot of damage to me. I've got my fort up. Thank Christ for that. Where is everyone? Can you please help? Let's get a snow cone up. So I guess positioning is kind of vaguely important, but you know, it's not that massive. So here's their first champion. We can ultra snow, who will be ultra snowballing like mad. Obviously, if you get him shut down, if you get like a snow down the shirt on him, then they're just completely screwed. But obviously, you need the players to be there for that. So yeah, yeah, I'm gonna speed it up. Obviously, we just got to push forward towards that beacon, and then we'll finish this one up. Oh, something else that I didn't mention actually is each wave of creep, as you've probably seen, comes with, well, I'm not sure if it's every single wave. It looks like most waves, but they come with like a boss that comes with them, you see. Oh my god, he's going to kill me. Oh, thank god he died when he did. I really need to watch my health. But you get like generals, so you've got champions, which are like your big, powerful, stationary things, and then you've got the generals as well, which will tend to spawn with the groups. Oh, fucking blinding snow, man. I hate not being able to initiate with that huge like explosion, because it will just knock out the creep wave straight away. I suppose it's not a big deal. See, now we've pushed all these things forward. There's just like a huge group. They'll go straight into the champion of Balthazar. He may have no aftercast delay, and he may be able to spam like a beast. But look at that. There's nothing he's going to be able to do. They're just going to absolutely get wiped out. So yeah, you know, it's definitely a game type that snowballs. You see what I did there? As you get on top, it's harder and harder for them to resist and defend. There you go. Nothing but their beacon down now. Nothing but their beacon left, sorry, should I say. It's probably a good idea as well. Well, they're knocked out so quickly. It's probably a good idea, though, to keep your snowstorm or your mega snowball up, just so that if another wave does spawn, you can just knock it on them straight away, knock them out, and just continue on. Another cool thing, obviously, which I didn't point out, actually, when you kill the beacon, the statue goes from an active state to an inactive state, which is really quite cool. But yeah, there you go. So that's the Great Snowball Fight of the Gods. I don't think there is even a reward dialogue for that quest, actually. I'll go and see if I can pick one up, but I'm pretty sure there's not a reward dialogue. It's quite weird. The wiki has got a note that says technically it's impossible to actually complete the quest because you just can't get it out of your log without abandoning it, but we'll see what happens. We go back up to her. Yeah, see, she hasn't got anything to say to us. She does say, with haste comes carelessness. I'm here to ensure the priests of Balthazar don't destroy the delicate balance of nature, nor the balance of the Wintersday rivalry. So there you go. That's 2010. Not that much actually. I'm shocked. You know, after we did the 2006 thing, I thought it was going to take way longer than it is. But hey, we're on the last leg of the marathon now. Just one more video left to do. So yeah, I think it was pretty cool what they did in 2010. I'm very keen to see what will happen in this last episode. Well, not the last one. We've got the finale to do tomorrow. But I'm very keen to see what will happen with the 2011 stuff. And yeah, we're quite curious about this supposed impending doom coming to Tyria or something, or this darkness on the horizon the gods are talking about. In any case, I will see you guys for the next video when Cormir and Lissa join in on the fray, and that's all the gods. That's this year, the newest content for Wintersday, and I'll talk about the final changes that have been made, and maybe walk around some of these outposts a bit more, because we haven't really walked around that much recently. So yeah, I just hope I don't fall asleep before then. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you next time. See you next time, everyone.